All right. Hey, kiddos, and welcome back to your writing instruction. All right. So we're just going to pick up today exactly where we left off yesterday. But there are a few things I want to address, pardon my voice, before we actually go forward. Okay. The first thing is saving your document. All right. You've already saved your essay draft to what's called your desktop. And remember, we talked about what that was. We should have saved that yesterday. And so now, believe it or not, you can go back to your desktop and you can find the document that you actually saved. Remember, I had you guys to save it with your name and then S draft 1. So here's mine. Look on my desktop here. So I already have that saved. The second thing I want to address before we move forward with actually pulling up your draft you've already started is your written drafts. If for any reason you guys got frustrated with this and you just couldn't save it, couldn't do it, remember, totally okay to have a written draft. I don't mind at all. Just have your parent to send it to me via Dojo, a picture of it. If you're going to do that, I will warn you, it needs to be extremely neat. I need to be able to read it, okay? The other thing you could have your parent do is to maybe take a picture of it and email it to me. If you need to do that, that's fine as well. Here is my email address. So if you would like your parent to take a picture and email it to me, go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and write my email address down now. All right? Here's the other thing. Remember, we talked about accessing past work because each part of your writing plan was an assignment. You had a thesis assignment, topic sentence assignment, you had background and so forth. If for any reason you were not able to access that stuff, then guess what? It's not a problem. You're just going to do the best you can and move forward because you're going to have another paper to write. So we don't want to get stuck on our mistakes of the first paper. But just remember, it's always a good idea, since we're working on the computer right now, to have a written plan. Whatever you submit online, please have a written plan of that somewhere that you can get to so that you won't have these problems in the future, okay? And it's also a good idea because when I give you feedback, when I check your work, and maybe I may tell you in your next paper, oh, this thesis is not correct, try writing it this way. You would want to take your feedback and write that information down on your paper, on the written plan. So try to keep a paper copy of your writing plan just to make sure that you are always going to be on top of everything. Okay. All right. Last but not least, before we jump in, don't stress. Again, this is YouTube. You can go back. You can pause. You can rewatch it again. You can even go to my post and rewatch all of the writing videos to get you up to speed if you need to. It's fine. Okay. It's not the end of the world if you have to turn the assignment in late. So with that said, let's jump right in. All right, body paragraph number 2 and your conclusion. That's your assignment today. You're going to write body paragraph number 2 and your conclusion. So welcome back, fellow writers. Let's go ahead and get started with opening up the document that you already saved by clicking on that document from your desktop. Now, as always, I like to show you guys, even though I'm explaining it to you. So I'm going to access my own, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is find the document. And sometimes, don't worry, they move around sometimes, okay? Because yesterday, my essay draft was up here, right? But today, for some reason, it's down here at the bottom, and that's fine. But anyway, you can access this document 2 ways. One way is to double tap on it twice, and it should automatically come up. But I'm going to X out of it. See this X up here in the corner? I'm going to X out of it because I'm going to show you another way to get to it also. If you can't double tap on it to bring it up, just tap on it once and then hit enter. It does the same thing. All right. So see how it has brought the paper or the draft that I started on yesterday up. This is everything I wrote yesterday saved in the system. Introduction, body paragraph number 1. So let's go back to the PowerPoint and follow our instruction from there. All right. So as I explained, once you double click on it or click on it and hit enter, it should automatically appear on your screen. So now it says you'll place your cursor at the end of body paragraph number 1, then hit enter twice to give yourself room between each paragraph. So I'm going to go out of this again. I'm going to pull up my writing and I'm going to do just that. It says place your cursor. Remember, that's that little blinky thing. Place it at the end of body paragraph number 1. Hit enter twice. I'm going to do that. Right now I have a lot of room. And then you hit the tab key. Remember, you hit the tab key because you want your writing to indent, just like it did up here. So once you hit that tab key, you do not have to hit it again until you're actually making a new paragraph. All right. So going back to our PowerPoint so we can finish up our instruction. All right. So we've done that. And now we're ready. We are ready to get started on body paragraph number 2. All right. So there were a few things that we did yesterday with body paragraph number 1. We wrote down our topic sentence and we wrote all about the 2 mini points that are listed on our writing plan. But we did something really special yesterday that we've been singing about and talking about all year. We did what we call the 3 E's. That's your evidence, example, elaboration, right? Here's how, let me jog your memory. Remember when we were talking about convenience, the very first sentence we brought in talked about how the programs allow people to use bikes at their convenience. Well, that is a piece of evidence that I paraphrased in my own words. Then we brought in examples from the text in direct quotations, remember? And then when we got down a little ways, we talked about elaborating. And that's, again, elaborating is where you either explain evidence in your own words or you kind of expand on it. You talk more about a topic. And we did that for both of those 2 mini points. We have 3 E's for when we were talking about convenience. And I had my 3 E's when I began to talk about how they were affordable. So that's the same exact process that we're going to use today in writing body paragraph number 2. Now, I want you to get a better visual of body paragraph number 2. So I'm going to pull up my paper where I have kind of already pre-written body paragraph number 2. And we're just going to go ahead and talk about some points through this. Okay. The first thing is my topic sentence. And my 2 mini points were exercise and opportunities. So let's just go back for a moment because I want to make sure you're following me. You see that? And actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't exercise. It was health and opportunities. All right. But everyone knows that it's healthy to exercise. So same thing, right? All right. So topic sentence states, in the article, Rent a Bike, the text shows how bike sharing programs bring positive changes to neighborhoods. There's my topic. Look at my next sentence. It says the author explains that these programs are really good for 2 reasons, exercise and opportunities. That is a piece of evidence that I got from my article that I read, and I just reworded it in my own words. Let me pause here for a moment before I keep going. You have to have read your articles a few times, guys, and actually coded them. When we were in the physical classroom, we coded those 3 E's. We coded evidence. We coded examples with an EX, evidence with an EV. And anything we wanted to elaborate on, we were coding with an EL. Okay? So as you start and begin your papers, you have to understand that even though you're not in a conventional classroom, you can still take notes from your reading. You may not know how to underline and highlight online on your document, but you can just write down what you want to include in your paper. So if you need to pause, grab paper and pencil, and as you're reading through those articles, go ahead and make magic. Go ahead and code it like champions, just like I taught you to do in the classroom. Okay? All right, let's go back to my body number 2. All right, so the next sentence says, if you think about it, the more people within a neighborhood exercise, the healthier they become. When people are healthy, they are happy because they don't have to worry about the stress of being unhealthy and having to make constant visits to the doctor. Again, that's more evidence that I paraphrased, which means I said it in my own way. I read it and I just reworded it. Let's keep going. It says, the text says, plus a lot of people don't have time to exercise. So this is a way of incorporating exercise into their daily routine without having to take time out of their day to do it. That, my friends, is a direct example of, a direct example from the text. That's why I have quotation marks around it, okay? Let's keep going. It says, then there's also the fact that these programs create job opportunities for people. Again, me paraphrasing, going back and forth between specific evidence that's in quotations from the text. That means I didn't change any of the author's words. And then reading evidence and rewriting it in my own way. So let's look at that next sentence. It says, the text further explains that, here's a quote from the text, when those bikes need repairing, there has to be someone responsible for fixing them. This is a good thing because it provides more opportunities for people to make money and take care of their families. Again, guys, what did I do there? Went back and forth between paraphrasing and specifically stating evidence from the text in quotation marks. Let's keep going. Here it says, in some neighborhoods, there may be teenagers looking for jobs. Programs like these would be a good choice for them. Guys, guess what that is? That's me elaborating. My article didn't say anything about teenagers looking for jobs. But when they talked about job opportunities, that was a point for me to elaborate because I know in most neighborhoods, you're going to find children. And within those children, you're going to find teenagers, and teenagers like to work. So I thought to myself, you know what? I can elaborate here. So let's keep going. It says programs like these would be a good choice for them. Something else to think about is that with more bike sharing, there will be less cars on the road to reduce traffic. Now, that sentence is a paraphrase, right? Because they did talk about in the article about reducing traffic. So I said that in my own words. But here, these are my words, guys. I'm elaborating. This would also mean less pollution, which is also healthier for the environment. Because I know that vehicles sometimes can cause, or just any types of things that we use in the world like that can cause air pollution. That was my opportunity as a writer to expand on that. So the last sentence says, so these changes would bring a lot of good things to the people in these communities. So there is my, and I'm sorry, my screen went dark for a moment, but there is my body paragraph number 2. So now, done body paragraph number 2. So logically, what's the next thing? You got it. My conclusion. And as you can see in very big writing, it says restatement of thesis. All right. So let's go back to my document. And once again, remember you want to hit that enter button twice, and then you're going to hit tab so that you can indent here. All right. So we're going to jump right into the conclusion. It says right here, the restatement of my thesis. That's why it's in blue and green. Remember in my thesis, I talked about how, and I'm just reminding you guys and myself of what my thesis statement was. My opinion, my point was that they're a great idea for neighborhoods. And my 2 reasons were that they are helpful and they bring positive changes. So a restatement of a thesis is saying the same thing, just in a different way. So listen at how I did that. Finally, I believe these programs are the absolute best for neighborhoods. Why? Well, not only do they provide the assistance people need to get back and forth with little cost, but they also bring forth change that is a true benefit to people. Remember, I talked about in my thesis statement how those bike sharing programs were not only helpful, but also brought positive changes. Well, that's just another way of saying it. When I say it provides assistance, that's helpful, right? When I talk about true benefits for something, that's a positive change. Bring forth change that is a true benefit. Here is the really important part that I want you guys to pay attention to, okay? Let's keep going. It says they really add value to the city. Now, this is what I need you to pay attention to. It says, but just like with any good program, there are some downfalls. Now, I'm going to pause right there because I want to tell you what this is. Anytime you're writing an opinion paper, you have to have what's called a counter argument. Say that word, that phrase with me. Counter argument. A counter argument is where you briefly give the other side of your argument, and it has to be given in the conclusion. All good writers do this, okay? That doesn't mean that you're changing your mind or your opinion, but you also always want to state the other side of the argument just to show what a good writer you are, because you want to show that you've evaluated both sides of a topic. But then to show what a focused and strong writer you are, you always go right back to your opinion and you maintain that opinion, because your opinion is going to be the last thing that your reader reads, even though you mention the other side of the argument. So let me show you how I did that, okay? It says, but just like with any good program, there are some downfalls. For one, bike sharing programs would create the need for bike docking stations that are self-service. The bikes also take up a lot of space, and bad weather would present issues as well. So that's my counter argument. But watch what I do as a focused writer. I'm going to strongly maintain my opinion. So I'm going to bring it back and tell you why I think my opinion is still the best one. It says, but although these problems could create frustration, I think the benefits outweigh the downfalls by far. With any new program, there will be negatives. However, if people could work through those pitfalls, the benefits of these programs are greater than the issues they could cause. As long as neighborhoods are able to come together and work out a plan that would help make these programs a success, bike sharing programs could be the best thing to happen to communities. So, quick recap. We did a few things here. Body paragraph number 1, we stated our topic sentence, and we talked about our 2 mini points. For our first mini point, we used 3 E's: evidence, examples, elaboration. For that second mini point, that point B, in body paragraph number 2, same thing. We did evidence, example, elaboration. Once you get to your conclusion, we did a few things as well. We restated that thesis statement, but we said it in a different way. Remember, you can do that in 1 sentence, 2 sentences, or if you have to use 3. As long as you say the same thing, just in a different way. Then we brought in what we just learned today is called a counter argument. We briefly stated the other side of the argument. But as a good writer, we did the most important thing that you can do in your conclusion. We went back and we firmly maintained our original opinion and told our reader why we thought this opinion was superior, why we thought it was the best opinion. So we are at the end of our lesson. So really quickly, because I don't want our video to cut us off, I'm going to show you how to save your document. You're going to click the little box above File. When you do that, you're saving it automatically, okay? But if you're unsure and you feel like, I'm not really sure if it's saved, click on File. When you do that, it brings up the same menu remember where we saved it originally? Originally, when we saved it, we pushed Save As, but that was because we were saving it for the first time and we had to name it. We're not going to do that here. We're just going to click Save. When you do that, it's going to save all of your new writing. And so you can then go to the X in the upper right and X out of the system. Okay? that is the end of your writing instruction for today, guys. So again, remember, don't get frustrated about anything. You're going to be great writers, trust me. And I know that you guys are in homeschool, well, not homeschool, but you're in virtual school right now, but this is something you're going to need to know for next year. So let's go ahead and get all this practice in with our writing for right now, okay? I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. You will have another writing instructional video tomorrow because there's one last thing that we need and we have to do to our writing before you turn that final draft into me. Okay? Happy writing. I love you all and you have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday.